Hi there, and welcome to 3 Questions with MotionPoint. I'm your host, Dominic Ditterbide, and today I have the pleasure of being with Frank Drucker, our Director of Product Management here at MotionPoint. Frank, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful, Dom. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to talk to you, happy to be here, happy to have this discussion. Today we're going to talk about one of the most important things to cost-effective website translation memory. So it's a very familiar thing in our industry. I would ask you, Frank, how would you define translation memory? What is it?
So basically, translation memory is a database for storing, the purpose of storing translations. Inside translation memory, you typically find sentences or small pieces of content in their original language with their corresponding translations. Advanced translation memories, you can even find images, whether they have embedded text or not, with the same sort of concept alongside their translated or localized images.
It's amazing. So translation memory stores your previously translated content, so you don't have to pay for translation twice. And advanced ones can even do that at the image level, right? Not only free copy. So that's brilliant. Thank you, Frank, for that. I would ask you next, well, what are the main benefits that people get when they have a translation memory that works efficiently?
Sure. So high quality translation can be expensive. You want to preserve the work that the translators have done so you can store it and reuse it by the technology and by linguists, right? So that's number one. Number two is it greatly aids the linguists in performing their jobs. So there's some CSA research out there, Dom, that basically shows that there's the vast majority of translators use the translation memory. Only 12% have never used translation memory in performing their duties.
I mean, that makes total sense. It's almost table stakes when you're doing a website translation project to have your translation memory. So I mean, those benefits are massive, right? You get to reuse your translation memory, you get to save costs, but you also get to get some leverage on consistency, right? You get the same translations every single time. If there's a certain way that you like to describe something that's, associated to your brand voice, to your, terminology and that local market, but you want to make sure that you're continuously using that same translation and speaking the same way. So I can understand that being one of the most important benefits, Frank. So when you outsource your translation memory and you have a partner that's going to help you get this done, what should people look for?
Oh, that's a great question. So above all, you want to make sure you own the translation memory. Not all companies allow you to own your translation memory, which can be very important if down the road you want to switch or change your translation service provider. Also, your translation memory is where you're storing all your valuable translations. So you want a partner that's going to update and maintain that translation memory as it grows over time and becomes more valuable. And you also want a translation partner that's able to leverage that memory to be able to, save you translation money.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, ownership of your translation memory is actually a very important thing for us to discuss. In our industry, most vendors try not to give their customer ownership of the translation memory because that way it's very hard for them to switch to another translation provider. It's a way of keeping, customer retention high in this industry, and something you gotta look out for because you, at the end of the day, are paying for those translations, and therefore you should try to be the owner of those translations as well. And the other part is the translation memory actually takes a lot of work to keep updated, right? So when you have to do that work, you want to make sure that your translation partner is maintaining your translation memory up to date, because if we don't do that, then you're gonna pay for the translation again, even though you had already done so. So something that's very important for us to look out for. And of course, the consistency part of it. I think the last part that you mentioned, where we need to be able to leverage the translation memory in multiple different ways, where you can get leverage from AI or maybe algorithmic translation that can try to find similar segments that you've already translated and translating them again using that algorithmic technology, which is a growing part of our industry, right, Frank? And I mean, I think it's a very fun and deep subject that we can talk about for a long time.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate that. I think that does it for 3 questions with MotionPoint. So thank you very much for coming. And to our audience, I'll see you guys next time.